Hello guys, and welcome to this week's upcoming updates video. In this one we're covering this week's DayZ Standalone status report and also the presentation that took place at RTX 2015. We're only going to be doing a quick breakdown of both of these, so remember that links to everything we discuss will be down in the description. Let's start off with the status report and discuss the issues that the team has been working on fixing this week. First, we have items stuck in hands, player desync issues, player animation glitching, server crash bug fixing, player shouldering issues, and server performance optimization. Now, some of these issues are blockers for the 0.58 release on stable, so they said obviously not all of these issues are the blockers for stable, but many of them are tied to related causes. We'll continue to iterate on experimental branch until we have a build we're comfortable moving to stable branch. So work is still being done on 5.8 experimental, and once they have the most, kind of playable version of 5.8, it will be released to the stable branch. Now to talk about RTX 2015. So RTX was an event that went down in Austin earlier this month, and there was a presentation done for DayZ Standalone by lead producer Brian Hicks. A video was posted to DayZ's YouTube channel, so you can check that out. Link to it will be in the description. What we'll be doing in this video is a breakdown of that presentation and kind of discussing it and seeing what they ended up talking about. I did want to say that this is a very quick kind of breakdown of an hour-long presentation, so I do recommend watching or listening to the full presentation if you can. I will be discussing a lot of what was talked about in the presentation, but if you do have the time, I do recommend checking it out. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, let's actually discuss what was talked about in this presentation. So they started off by discussing where DayZ currently is. So stable is currently version 0.57, and in that there was some major changes. So there was the rewrite of the inventory system, as well as the first functional iteration of centralized control over the economy. Now, it was the first iteration of it, so there was some issues when it moved to stable. And when that happened, basically there was some changes to how they update the stable branch. And that means that in the future, instead of being focused on the date and trying to get a new stable branch up every 30 days, the team will now focus on playability rather than trying to meet a date. So basically, builds on experimental will be on there longer if needed, and experimental will receive more updates. Builds will move to stable when they are most playable and ready. So what they want to do is try to get it out when it's most playable instead of on a date that they have set as a goal. So hopefully that will help out with having more playable builds on stable and more tests and more updates happening on the experimental branch, which will be very cool. That's kind of what we've seen so far with the 0.58 experimental. This is where we're kind of at 0.58 update number 12, and it still hasn't been pushed to stable. It could be pushed to stable right now, but it would have some bugs that they're trying to get out before it is moved on to the stable branch. So that is how stable updates and experimental updates will be in the future. Now talking about the current experimental patch, which is the 0.58. 0.58 experimental has been focusing on further development of the centralized economy control, which has been going really well. The loot on 0.58 experimental makes a lot more sense than it does on 0.57 stable, and they are right now currently in kind of the first stages of proper map and character progression. The loot is where it's supposed to be on the map, and you will have to travel a bit to get those rare items that you want. Server uptimes and stability have been increased to 12 hours. Item cleanup, respawn, dynamic events, persistence, and player storage are all functioning on 0.58. There was also some talk about the second quarter goals. A lot of these have already had their initial implementation on the current experimental, or will have it on the next experimental. So starting off with advanced vehicles, we're talking repairs and modification. Initial requirements for vehicle parts are currently on experimental branch, so fuel, tires, batteries, and glow plugs are currently on the 5.8 experimental. On 5.9, we will see new vehicle types. There are the 3 new vehicles that are coming in, as well as expanding the repair and modification system. Next, we have advanced animals. The initial implementation of this is currently on experimental, but there are some bugs and they will continue to work on those bugs. Player statistics. So they did say that statistics are currently being recorded. Basic statistics such as distance, infected killed, players aided / killed, and so on will be expanded upon. So hopefully that means that in the future we will be able to see these. New user interface tech, so that's the new UI. You guys have seen that in my showcase videos on the 5.8 experimental. Design work is still underway with the design team, so more work is being done to the new UI, but that is currently in the experimental. Player stamina, that is one of the things that actually has been moved to quarter 3, so design is underway for this currently, but they will be talking about it, and hopefully initial implementation will be in quarter 3. Moving to the second part of these goals, we have dynamic events. They are currently functioning, spawning and cleaning up and respawning on the experimental branch, so that is currently working just fine. World containers like fridges, initial prototype of the system is currently working in experimental, and hopefully we have shown these fridges in previous showcase videos, and hopefully these are the ones that will be replacing fridges inside of the homes you see around Trinaris. And then we have the new physics system. So currently that is underway. It has kind of been implemented for some things like the vehicle simulation, ragdoll, and item throwing. That's where you can see the representation of this. Currently with the new system in development, DayZ is operating on 2 systems, so that can be problematic and cause issues and also cost server performance. This will be improved in the future. And then we have long-form engine tasks. So these are things that will be worked on over time. We have the new player controller, new animation system, new audio module, new renderer, transfer from legacy physics system to a new physics system, server performance optimization, network communication / traffic optimization, and bug fixing. And now to talk about what will be coming in the DayZ 0.59 update. So they're going to be expanding on the existing 0.58 vehicle repair / maintenance mechanics, bug fixes focused on quality of life, playability, animation glitching, new inventory, related issues, increasing the quantity of animals throughout Trinaris, extending server uptime to 24 hours, which is, that seems, awesome, just 24-hour restarts. I think that would be amazing. Currently on experimental, it's 12-hour restarts, which is still very good, and also introducing new vehicles into the world. We have the 3 new vehicles which we were about to talk about, and more. So during their presentation there was actually 5 minutes of gameplay showing the new vehicles in 0.59, and if you want to go check that out, it is 28 minutes into the presentation, so you can just click the link in the description, skip 28 minutes in, and it will show you the gameplay of the new vehicles. So we have the civilian sedan, which is the fastest vehicle, or will be the fastest vehicle in DayZ, going up to 160 kilometers per hour. And then we have the off-road hatchback, which can pretty much go anywhere. It's an off-road vehicle. You can see there, it looks pretty awesome. And of course the transit bus, which holds up to 19 players, and there are plans to have 4 of them spawning around Trinaris. There was some talk of base building in the presentation, and there was some concept art released showing what it might look like in DayZ Standalone. So these are the ideas that they have for base building in the game. This is like an improvised survivor camp. Basically you can see some tents there, kind of a watchtower, some basic stuff, and then this is a reinforced survivor camp. It's kind of more military. There is bigger tents here. You got the military tents and also a car tent there in the back. Overall these looked very cool. But the art is kind of just showing the direction the devs are taking with base building in DayZ, so things might look different in game. Just do remember that this is concept art. They don't want bases to be basically impenetrable. They want every base to be where someone can enter it. They don't want someone to be able to build something that no one is ever going to be able to get into, just to kind of keep that risk there, keep the risk of someone coming into your base and being able to take your items. So that risk will always be there. You'll need to be careful where you set up your base, and the larger the camp, the harder it is to hide and defend. And on the final slide, we're talking about character lifespan and soft skills. So for character lifespan, they have kind of some ideas for visual representation of the age on your character. So that's going to be something like facial hair, scars, dirty face, etc. to show the age and how long you've been surviving. And then for soft skills, they have some ideas as well. So that's stuff like getting faster at doing certain actions. You know, the more you do something, usually the better you get at it. So getting better at doing those actions, and also higher yield. So when you're trying to find an item, when you're searching for sticks in the forest or a stone, maybe you get faster at doing that. Less material used as well in doing and making certain things, and also less tool damage taken. About stamina, they did say characters themselves rewarded with stamina the longer they live and the more they travel across Trinaris. So that's kind of an idea of how stamina will work once it's implemented. Skills should never supplant player skill or directly affect combat. For example, reloading speed, hand sway, hold breath, etc. They don't think that should change during combat. With soft skills, they don't think that should be affected. That should completely be separate and not affected by any soft skills. So that's gonna wrap it up for this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. It wasn't really too easy trying to summarize a status report plus the 1 hour presentation into an 11-minute video, but I hope I covered most of it. That's what I tried to do with this video, kind of highlight and break down the presentation there. So if you did enjoy it, be sure to hit that like. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe for more videos. Thank you for watching. Check out the links in the description if you want to see the full presentation and the status reports, and we'll see you all in the next video.